We'll go ahead and call this Norwood City Council meeting to order. If everyone can please rise for a moment of reflection and the Pledge of Allegiance. And I would like to observe a moment of silence for two community members. Ron Pennington passed away. Ron Pennington was the president of council in the 1980s. And then also Bernie Nagley, who was a member of the Civil Service Commission, who was also the Civil Service Administrator and has donated to numerous organizations within the city of Norwood. So I would like to recognize a moment of silence for those two individuals. Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen? Here. Mrs. Hoover?
Here.
Ms. Royce? Here. Mrs. Bowling? Here. Mr. Moore?
Here.
Mr. Girton?
Here.
Mr. Braden?
Here.
Thank you. We have all members present this evening. We do have several amendments to the agenda. The first is to add the Committee of the Whole report from December 2nd. The second item, this will be M6. So that is an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025. The other item is M7, which is an ordinance to change the temporary appropriations for the year 2026. Mrs. Hoover.
I make a motion, we amend the agenda as stated.
Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Mr. Braden.
Can you repeat that, please?
Yep. Committee of the Whole report for December 2nd. That will be J2. And M6 will be 2025 appropriations. M7 will be 2026 temporary appropriations.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Any other discussion? Motion by Mrs. Hoover, seconded by Mrs. Bowling, is to amend the agenda as stated. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen? Yes. Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next on the agenda, we have minutes from November 11th, November 25th, and December 9th. Mrs. Hoover,
I make a motion that we approve the minutes
as if read,
as if read.
and seconded Mrs. Franzen.
I second.
And just to confirm, this is for all three sets of minutes?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen? Yes. Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to requests to address council. We do have three of those. The first is Kenny Domingos.
Could you put the timer up there just so I know?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, good evening, members of council. As you know, my name is Kenny Domingos. And in the Bible, it says to give honor to whom honor is due. And so I just want to give honor to God, Jesus Christ, my Savior, because that's who I have to thank for being here tonight. And just my journey as well to where I'm headed. So I won't give you the rundown of, when I graduated from Xavier, but this story does start where I graduated. When I graduated from Xavier, I had ideas and plans of where I was going to be. And while I was at Xavier, one of the big plans that I have is to start this this organization to cultivate and groom the leaders of tomorrow. You know, that's something that's passionate of mine that I have in my heart that I will do. And as some of you may know, I was an RA at Xavier. You can see here. And when I first got the RA role, you know, I thought this is great. It's a great opportunity. You know, I'm gonna get to be a leader. You know, I was nervous, and you know, I did 2 years as a RA, 1.5 year as a summer RA, and it honestly helped shape me and who I am as a leader, as a person. And I just got to find out more, you know. And I thought my senior year last year, like, you know, when I got there, like, this is it. Like, you know, I'm prepared to go out there and lead some people, you know, lead some folks. You know, and I did some other stuff too, leadership-wise. You know, and a wise man once told me, when you begin your journey as a leader, you may start with children, and then, you know, leading children, you know, and then moving up to leading women, and then leading men. You know, but it didn't go in that order for me. You know, I started out leading. If you know what an RA is, a resident assistant, you know that you have to be in charge of those who live in the hallways of your dorm, you know, and maybe like you're a camp counselor, you have to do that. You know, which can be challenging. But I found it all the more challenging when I graduated college, you know, and I thought I was so prepared to be a leader when I met the young man, Nehemiah Collins. You know, and this is where God introduced me in the chapter of my life where I had to start leading young men like him. You know, I wouldn't call him a child per se. He is a minor. But, you know, that's where it got a bit challenging. Because as some of you may know, you know, with the positions that you have, for you to be a good leader, for you to be a great leader, you have to be able to replicate your leadership so that one day, or so really any given day that you're out here rolling around, you can trust the person that's taking the seat that you appointed them to take care of the job in the same way that you would, or better, hopefully. And so that's the challenge that the call to action gave to me. You know, am I able to replicate my leadership through a young man such as Nehemiah Collins, who doesn't come from a full home, you know, whose household isn't giving him structure, consistency, and order. And so I just wanted to give a message to, you know, all the young leaders out here today, you know, whether you're in college, in high school, that there is more to leadership. And if you truly want to improve your leadership and take it to the next level, I believe that the call to action is the place to do it. You know, it's going to challenge you in ways that you never thought of before, and replicating your leadership. And I'm not saying this as you know, like I've already done it. It's a process, you know, and I'm in this process right now. But all that I ask you is that you show your passion when you do so, you know, and it's taught me, being with Nehemiah, to hold myself accountable to the things that I'm teaching him, you know, because sometimes I fall short, you know, like just like in the Bible it says, you fall short of the glory of God. But just having him on my side, it just gives me the fire to keep going, you know, to be a better leader myself, replicate it in him. Now on January 3rd, we're having our Coming Together 2.0. You may have gotten the flyers. You know, something that we're doing different for this event is that we're getting everybody together, like we did in the first, but we're encouraging folks to come out with an action plan. Because if it's something that I don't like, it's somebody pointing out the problem, and then I come in with a solution. You know, and if something I don't like even more is coming up with a solution and not willing to be a part of this solution. And so I just encourage you all to come out and pop out and be with us. You know, come with your action plan, your ideas that you may have scrapped up, because we're ready to, you know, be a strong movement in the city. And so I appreciate you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next request to address council is Nehemiah Collins.
Hello. I just want to say, like, I got a long journey ahead of me, and like I can really see it once I go into college. Like, it's really gonna be big for me too. And one thing, like, Corey Bowman told me a script. Like I know the words, but I can't really put it in like a sentence. But it was really strong, and like it just made me change like that day. And that same day, he offered me a full ride to college. Like, and I was just stoned. I didn't know what to do. Just to pray that night too. Like, I almost cried though. Bishop cried. But I wish I was crying with him too, cause that's a blessing to me. And I just wanna like give advice to all the young people out there that's doing what I'm doing. Like all the struggles y'all going through, just know like I just got people behind y'all to care about y'all. And don't ever think just because like the stuff y'all doing, don't think like they don't care about you. They do, cause y'all gotta go home tonight. Like one day I ain't come back until 11 in the morning. Well, no, 11 at night. I'm tripping. 11 at night, my people was just caring about me. Like they was worried so bad that they called the police, and almost it was like a report that was about to be out on me. And I ain't tell them that's the bad thing on my behalf. And I should have never did that, but also I was in a different mindset at that time. But to be honest, like at the time, I didn't really care about nobody but myself. And to see what I was going through, like I didn't really think nobody was gonna care neither, because I had a lot of bad people that was hating on me, talking about you not gonna make it in life. And I showed them wrong. Like I'm with successful people that's gonna bring me to a better and bigger like environment. Like, and I just want people to come out to call into action. And it's gonna really like build up the organization. And it's gonna like make everybody's dreams come true. Cause my dream definitely coming true. I wanna be a success ambassador, but I wanna do my own thing. I wanna make my own goals. Like I wanna be my own person. I wanna set examples for my kids, my dad at that, cause my dad ain't set no example for me. I mean, like he left out my life once, but when he came back, he left out my life again, and it was like a cycle. I was just confused. So one day, I up and left. So, and I ain't care. Time was fast, but I ain't care. So one thing now that I just gotta stay focused on me, on my grades, and once I'm just done with high school, then I can worry about me, and really nobody gotta worry about me for real. But stay true to y'all peoples and the things y'all want to do in life. Don't be no slacker, cause I done slacked sometimes. And it didn't work out. Cause I had to do push-ups and run. But to be honest, when I did slack, I was actually like, when I had to do all that, it felt good inside to like have somebody push me to success. Like I ain't never had that in my life before. I just had bad people that push me down to where they are, and it's not where I want to be. Thank y'all.
Thank you. The next request to address council is Bishop Sonny James.
I want to first say good evening to some of the greatest citizens on this earth, and that is to my fellow Norwoodians. Guys, we are at the end of another year. And I've been saying this, and for those who care to really pay attention and listen, we've come such a long way. The greatest work that we can ever do is to connect with each other. I'm so excited because I too have had to make some major changes in order to embrace the love that many of you present. And I know it doesn't always look like love when I present it. But as we move forward, I know you guys are setting some ordinances, so as I come up here, and I shouldn't challenge any of you, well, we'll see how that goes. But we're really trying to do something different in this community. And one of the things that I have to challenge, and I'm going to challenge, when you're taking your White House calls, and you've got to send out those very, very important emails, come in a few minutes early so you can do that. But when residents spend their time and they honor you by coming and standing before you, look at them. See, when you do that simple thing, it shows that you really care. And then when you don't do that, it shows people like Nehemiah Collins who, thank God he's on this side of his journey now. But what I want to do is I really want to show people that sitting at that desk comes with accountability, comes with responsibility. And our greatest responsibility is to show people what you would want children to be shown in a classroom. I teach this all the time. You'll never be able to teach something that you can't do. So when our fair residents come, and in 2026, we're going to bring a whole lot more to the table. One of the things I'm going to be saying to them is look each council member in the eye, if they'll allow you. And make sure that every council member knows that them standing up here is just as important as you sitting down there. And when your agendas supersede the people you say you're going to serve, well, you know, that's why there are journeys that come and journeys that end. But I want to challenge myself in 2026. I want to be a better leader. I want to be a better role model. I want to be able to go into the streets, like where even the police can't go, and show young people hope. And then I want to bring them to a bunch of my mentors and peers right here. And I want to showcase what excellence looks like. And I'm trusting that each and every one of you are going to show the Nehemiah Collins of the world what Norwood is all about and who we have become. And just like Jesus, he did have one that just didn't want to follow suit. Hey, it is what it is. But on January the 3rd, folks, we're going to break a record. And I'm asking all of you who know how to get on Norwood, what's that thing called? Norwood Strong. Post this flyer, because it's not political, guys. It's about lives. And you've seen a life transform right before your eyes. And then we have Kenny Domingos, who's not just a student at Xavier. He's a graduate. And we're going to open the doors of opportunities. God bless you all. This is the greatest community in the country. Let's show each other off. God bless you. See you January 3rd.
All right, moving on to next items on the agenda. We have reports of standing committees of council. The first is Committee of the Whole from December 9th. To the Honorable Council of the City of Norwood, Ohio, we, your Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred 2026-2027 committee assignments and 2026-27 rules of council. Beg leave to submit the following report. Committee of the Whole met to discuss the two items above. Committee assignments were discussed, but the list of members on each committee and chairing each committee is still being ironed out. Several suggestions were made to make changes to the standing rules of council. These items will remain in committee and will be discussed at the next meeting on December 23rd. Minutes are attached. Respectfully submitted, Joseph Gears, chairperson, Mrs. Franzen, Mrs. Hoover, Mrs. Bowling, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Gurdon. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we accept the committee report.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to accept the committee report. Mr. Gurdon.
Second the motion?
Seconded by Mr. Gurdon. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item is the Committee of the Whole report dated December 2nd, 2025. To the Honorable Council of the City of Norwood, Ohio, we, your Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred Xavier University Student Comments/Project, Norwood City School/City Collaborative, 2026-27 committee assignments, and 2026-27 rules of council. Beg leave to submit the following report. Committee of the Whole met to discuss the items listed above. Students from Xavier University were present. 12 students presented on various topics. Regarding the Norwood City Schools and City Council Collaborative, Mr. Moore and Mr. Provins expressed interest in representing Norwood City Council on that board/collaborative. Committee assignments were discussed. There will be changes to some of the committee names and responsibilities, and the full committee membership are still being finalized. Standing rules of council will be addressed at a future Committee of the Whole meeting to be scheduled December 9th. Committee assignments and standing rules of council will remain in committee as there are still discussions to take place on these items. Minutes are attached. Respectfully submitted, Joe Gears, chairperson, Mrs. Franzen, Mrs. Hoover, Mrs. Bowling, Mr. Moore, and Mr. Gurdon. Mr. Gurdon.
Make a motion to receive the committee report?
Motion by Mr. Gurdon to accept the committee report. Mr. Moore.
May I just ask a quick clarifying question on the minutes part?
Yes.
Is that okay? If I'm not mistaken, that was also the night that Chief Sumner came. I don't think that was in...
Not to Committee of the Whole.
That was public. That was housing, right? That Chief Sumner came? Yeah.
You're right. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Sorry.
Disregard.
All right. So the motion on the floor by Mr. Gurdon is to accept the committee report. Was there a second? Mr. Moore.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item on the agenda, under third readings of ordinances and resolutions. The first is an ordinance regulating the use of virtual currency kiosks. Mrs.
I
Franzen.
move we have the third reading.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to have the third reading of the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the third reading of the ordinance.
An ordinance regulating the use of virtual currency kiosks.
Thank you. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Braden to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes, Mr. Moore.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure. Ms. Royce was saying something. Yeah, I just think, with regard to this, I know this was preceded by an ordinance to add warning signs related to these kiosks. I know there have been a number of sort of law and ordinance committees related to this. I think ultimately, like where I come down on this after having talked to a couple of people, including a business owner who has one of these kiosks in their business. Ultimately, I think there's the intent. I understand where the intent is coming from on this. I think ultimately there are all manner of things in the community, ways that people could, lose their money. There's all sorts of ways to transfer money. And I think ultimately the sort of the scope of this and I think for a small business owner to, be very passionately like against this ban as it pertains to feeling like kind of yet another way that their business is being affected by state or local lawmaking choices. I think just kind of in my mind has put me in the camp of frankly not wanting to pass this. And ultimately, I respect any other thoughts about passing this that people have, but I think where I've come down after the last couple months of kiosk ordinances is that in this particular case, I don't feel the city needs to go as far as to outright banning these.
Thank you. Any further? Mr. Gurdon.
I appreciate your perspective on that, Mr. Moore. I've just done more research since we've had this ordinance come up, and originally I was in the case of I don't think we should be stepping on these grounds. I think it's overstepped of the city to ban these. However, the more research I've done, the more that I've seen that these are only inducing harm. They're not inducing any kind of positive benefit. I mean, maybe they are to some people, but there are plenty of ways that people can still invest and contribute to cryptocurrency. I saw a national story the other day that talked about how many millions of billions of dollars are being scammed from people from this. I mentioned this on the first reading, I believe, but I remember whenever you could buy cigarettes at a vending machine in a restaurant where the restaurants could get fees from having these things in their stores. We're not stopping people from buying cigarettes. We're not stopping people from buying cryptocurrency. We're stopping the ability from people making bad investments, bad decisions that are being scammed out of their money. If people want to invest in these, they can leave the city of Norwood, but I think it's more important to protect people from scams that are getting hurt more than people are benefiting from these. So I'm in favor of the ban, having come from the other side in the beginning.
Thank you. Mrs. Bowling.
Yeah, I understand the thought about, there are a lot of ways to scam people out of money. There are a lot of ways to transfer money. I think that this is unique in that it is one of the few ways that you can transfer this sum of money without ever interacting with a human being. There are very few ways for you to transfer this volume, essentially an unlimited volume of cash, without the stop of a person saying, it's, if you go to Western Union to transfer this money, you have to interact with a human being who's going to say, this doesn't seem quite right to me. Can we make some phone calls? Additionally, because the money is, while not untraceable, as our wonderful police department was able to follow it to quite a far end, it is irretrievable. The money is immediately gone. There is no getting it back, despite the efforts of law enforcement. And so I think this is unique in that way. And I think that even if it is benefiting a few people, I understand being able to rent that small of a square footage for a few $100s a month is valuable. I think the cons far outweigh the pros to me, and I am thrilled that Ms. Royce brought this to our attention, and I am definitely in support of banning it.
Ms. Royce.
I will just say, if we could do a middle ground, I would. I feel that the signs or this were our two options, and we started with the signs, and in the midst of that, like I said, we had someone come forward who got scammed out of $10,000 in a matter of hours. So I guess I should say, again, I wish our state legislator, it's my last meeting, so I'll just go nuts. I wish our state legislators cared about this, or I don't know. I don't know who donates to them, who's involved with crypto. I believe Bernie Moreno paid some of his state taxes in crypto, and he was the first person to do that. But our state legislators are not interested, as far as I know, in trying to limit the dollar amount someone can, because there are states that have passed common sense legislation regarding these ATMs. You can do it, in theory, they could do a dollar limit. They could make it so that the owners of the machines do have to refund patrons who are scammed. As far as I know, they are uninterested. So I, in my small capacity, wanted to try to make a difference and help our citizens. And this seemed like the best way to do it. So that's it. That's my last word on this, hopefully.
Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I'm also in favor of this ordinance. I'm in favor of that. However, I do want to commend Mr. Moore. I appreciate your concern about this body overreaching as far as, I just appreciate that. And I would just recommend that in the future coming days and weeks and months that you continue that concern. And when things other than this come up, it is my wish that you bring this to the attention as well. And so I just commend you for that, and I respect that. However, I do support this ordinance. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gurdon.
Wanted to see if Mr. Bonzo wanted to contribute to this conversation.
Mr. Bonzo.
Thank you all so much. The only thing I would just say is I would just acknowledge that this is probably one of the most important ordinances that you all would pass all year when it comes to direct impact on our citizens. The amount of money we calculated last meeting, I think it was $500,000 a year or something like that, that Norwood residents on average are getting scammed, from these machines if you extrapolate that out of the national number. And I originally was thought that banning these things was too much, and Councilmember Royce actually asked me about it. I was like, I don't know. And then of course hearing a friend of mine that got scammed, and hearing the progression of it, where it went from 2:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and just how they were just twisted, and they were able to do that because they know that this person was the end goal was to get them to the machine. Mm-hmm. And it is truly as soon as this is done and we get certified copies of this, it's my intent, we're going to be reaching out to city councils across Hamilton County to try to get more people on board, because I think the farther you get these things away from our residents, the less of a chance that our residents are going to have to get scammed by it. And I do feel for the business owners, however, those $200 to $300 a month are coming directly out of our citizens' pockets that are getting scammed, because most of that goes in those things are people are getting scammed. And it's not even like they're getting all of it. I would say that $200 is probably just a small part of how much the crypto ATM people are actually benefiting. So, I'm sorry about it, but I do think that this will not be the last municipality to pass the crypto ATM ban. And it's because of you all that this won't be. So, thank you all so much.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Motion on the floor by Mr. Braden, seconded by Mrs. Bowling, is to pass the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Miss Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
No.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
The vote of 6 in favor, 1 against, that motion carries. Next item is a resolution requesting the Planning Commission to adopt backyard paving limits. Mrs. Franzen.
I move we have the third reading of this resolution.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to have the third reading of the resolution. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Miss Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have the third reading of the resolution.
A resolution requesting the Planning Commission to adopt backyard paving limits.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
I make a motion that we pass the resolution.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to pass the resolution. Ms. Royce.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Royce. Any discussion? Mr. Gurton, I'm sorry, Mr. Brady.
So yeah, this is kind of what I mean, and this is exactly what I was kind of pointing at. We're okay with Grady taking thousands of dollars and deposit it, but we're ready to tell residents exactly what they can do with their backyards. So this is kind of where I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like we're backwards here. So I totally don't want to tell people what they can do with their backyards. So, and it was my wish that, that someone else would have said that, but I guess that's not going to happen, and I should just get used to that. Thank you.
Mrs. Franzen.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, at least I think, hopefully from your standpoint, Mr. Braden, is this is just a request to the Planning Commission to consider this, so they can nix it, honestly.
I got it.
For me, I think that this is a pretty low impact for most non-large landlords. Most people aren't paving their entire backyards. I mostly just don't want the entire backyard to be paved because that really does help, or really does hurt the water issues that we have here. But ultimately, the Planning Commission gets to choose. And I hope that they take consideration.
Mrs. Bowling.
Yeah, I think an important way to frame things like this, issues like this, is whether or not the decisions that people make about their property and their homes are impacting other people. I think you could say the same thing about not being able to tell people what to do about playing loud music at their house at 2 a.m. But unfortunately, that impacts the people who live around them, so that does violate a noise ordinance. And I think this is similar. Instead of noise, it's water runoff. And yes, saying you can do whatever you want with your backyard to an extent makes a lot of sense on paper. When we think about the fact that if you pave 100% of your backyard, all of that water runoff is now going into your neighbor's yard, which is causing flooding or foundational damage or, however many other things. I think the cost of living in a city, which is dense, is that you have to be considerate of the people who are around you in some way. And I think that this issue is less about what you are going to do with your property and more about how the choices that you're making about your property are impacting the people around you who don't have a choice in that. And so I think if you frame it that way, maybe it will feel a little differently, maybe not. But I think I am not interested in, I don't like your backyard and I wouldn't do that in my backyard. I'm more interested in you paved 100% of your yard and now your neighbor is dealing with the consequences of all that runoff. And it's costing them a ton of money and time and stress. And I think, it's the same thing with noxious weeds. You could definitely plant poison ivy all over your backyard, but when it floods into your neighbor's yard, now you've created a problem for somebody else. And so I think, that's just the cost of being in a city.
All right. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I perfectly respect you, Ms. Franzen, wanting to do anything you want with your backyard, and I think you're perfectly willing, able to do so. It's just telling other people what they to do. And if you want to talk about drainage, if you drain it properly, if someone is to take care of their backyard and they want to do that, pour concrete, they can drain it. They can put drains in and drain that properly, and that's really how you would do it. You would drain it properly to where it drains to the curb and everything, and not onto your neighbors, and that's really how you would do it responsibly. And if you was to say, if you guys want to drain concrete your backyard, as long as you drain it, like I would be on board with making someone drain that water properly. And if you want to regulate that, so that makes sense. So look, it's not a big deal. It's you guys' it is what it is. I said my piece. Thank you,
Mr. Gurton.
I was going to say something earlier, but I think Ms. Bowling took the words out of my mouth. But on to Mr. Braden's point, if the zoning board comes back and says, you're allowed to pave 100% of your backyard with appropriate drainage, and there's permits for that, I would support that because I think the issue is drainage. But I think that's what we're asking the zoning board to do is to make that appropriate. They're the appropriate people to make that decision.
Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I guess, excuse me. Mrs. Franzen, I guess the only other thing that I would mention about this is, and I mentioned this previously, I guess I would ask if you have a thought on it this time more directly. On item D here, 3D, parking in the front yard setback shall be permitted on a driveway no greater than 20 feet in width and occupying no more than 25% of the front yard setback. I think I would just ask the question of, let's say my property is, I don't know, 30 feet wide, and I'm making this up, but, in that case, I wouldn't be allowed to have an 8-foot wide driveway. And, I think in some cases, like, personally, that doesn't really matter. Like, I park on the street all the time, doesn't really matter to me. But I think for some people, kind of this idea of, my house should have a driveway is a very fixed thing, in the same way that, business owners will say, oh, well, I'll never put my business in there because there's no off-street parking. I guess I would just ask, like, do you think this is, like, complete enough in the sense of, should we be also asking that question of the Planning Commission of, should we allow 8-9 foot driveways on a property that has a front yard width of 33 feet or whatever, that otherwise, like, is not currently permitted? Or to say it a different way, is this, is the view that we're taking on this ask of the Planning Commission comprehensive enough, in that it's adding this, item E, 3E, into question? I guess, is there more that we should be asking of them at the time that we're sort of posing this?
Mrs. Franzen.
Yeah, I wanted to limit it in scope to just the specific question.
Okay.
But I think that's a good point. I think currently they probably have to go through the zoning board or the BZA to get a variance for that. It might be good to look at that in the future, 2 weeks from now. Because, yeah, I agree. If you have a small lot, means you should probably still have a place to park if that's appropriate. So, but yeah, I think for me, it was just I wanted to make sure the scope was pretty limited and like, hey, this is just one specific thing that I think should be added.
Thank you.
Mrs. Hoover.
I just wanted to add the other issue besides runoff is heat islands. That was just sort of an aside in terms of the backyard paving. And to a certain degree, I consider that to be a bit of perhaps an infrastructure issue. And again, how does that impact my neighbors when I've removed that green space?
Any other discussion? Motion on the floor by Mrs. Hoover, seconded by Ms. Royce, is to pass the resolution. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
No.
By a vote of 6 in favor, 1 against, the motion carries. Moving on to introductory readings of ordinances and resolutions. The first is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, SORTA, for the purchase of real property located along Lafayette Avenue, authorizing the acceptance of a deed, authorizing the expenditure of necessary funds, and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we suspend the rules and have all 3 readings.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance. Mr. Girton.
Second the motion?
Seconded by Mr. Girton. Any discussion? Mrs. Hoover.
Wanted to see if Mr. Powers would like to come up and share information about this.
Mr. Powers?
Good evening. This is a parcel of land that runs along Lafayette Avenue. It's near Cameron, just north of Cameron. If you look at it right now, it's a grass strip. It's formerly railroad land. It was purchased by SORTA in the 1980s as part of a potential project that did not come to fruition using Federal Department of Transportation dollars. SORTA has a responsibility at this point to repay those dollars, so they are asking us to pay the cost that they owe on the land. So it is a good deal, and it is in a nice location. If we don't purchase it, they will put it to auction.
Mr. Gurdon.
To Mr. Powers, does this hold strategic value to the city?
Yes.
This plot of land?
Yeah, I believe it does.
Thank you, sir.
Mrs. Franzen.
Are you able to share the price for this parcel of land? I was looking through, I didn't know if I missed it or not.
The purchase price is $66,300.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does anybody remember the last time this property came up and the discussion of this parcel of property? Well, I can tell you, Mr. DeRacy brought it up, and he wanted to take it with eminent domain. And I thought that was pretty ridiculous, to be quite honest with you. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that. This is not the first time that we have discussed this piece of property. We wanted to take it for, well, a certain councilman was in discussions of that. Not that any actions were took, but just a little information that I would like to share. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Gears. I had the chance to talk to the property owner who owns 4 different buildings sort of immediately adjacent to this and asked them, what they thought about the city potentially acquiring this. The short version is that they basically said that SORTA hadn't been doing a great job of upkeeping the property, cutting the grass, things like that, that SORTA had basically maybe not been the most attentive to the property that they own, and they were excited about the city potentially, having this land in friendly hands, so to speak. And I think looking at it, it is a little more than a quarter of an acre, for the $66,000 purchase price, based on my very limited, real estate of vacant land. That seems like a pretty good price for it. I guess my only other question, so I guess thank you, Mr. Powers, for being opportunistic here and in trying to spring on this sort of end of year deal from SORTA as they liquidate. I guess my question, just more of a curiosity, would be is there any other land that SORTA has that would be of interest to the city at this time that we are in discussions or could be in discussions with them about?
We don't have any other discussions with them at this point.
Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
Any other discussion? All right, motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mr. Gurdon, is to suspend the rules and have all 3 readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all 3 readings of the ordinance.
An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, SORTA, for the purchase of real property located along Lafayette Avenue, authorizing the acceptance of a deed, authorizing the expenditure of necessary funds, and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, SORTA, for the purchase of real property located along Lafayette Avenue, authorizing the acceptance of a deed, authorizing the expenditure of necessary funds, and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with the Southwest Ohio Regional Transit Authority, SORTA, for the purchase of real property located along Lafayette Avenue, authorizing the acceptance of a deed, authorizing the expenditure of necessary funds, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Braden to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety Service to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission OPWC, state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mrs. Bowling.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety Service to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety Service to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Safety Service to prepare and submit an application to participate in the Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, state capital improvement and/or local transportation improvement programs, and to execute contracts as required and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Franzen.
I move we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
Sorry.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Moving on to the next item. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the financing and purchase of 45 Axon Taser 10, including equipment and training, and declaring an emergency. Mr. Girton.
Make a motion that we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mr. Girton to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mr. Braden.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Any discussion? Mr. Girton.
Could I ask Mr. Powers to come up?
Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Powers. I remember speaking to the chief about this whenever we were talking about the budget. Am I understanding this correctly, that the first year this will be paid out of a drug fund, a drug money?
I believe that is correct, yes.
And then the following years of the contract will come out of we'll have to appropriate out of the regular budget.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I think just worth noting, and so I'll say two things here. One is that my stepdad works in law enforcement, or was retired from law enforcement. Had a chance to talk with him about this a little bit and understand his perspective on tasers and, quite frankly, his support of their use and hopefully in a substitute way that prevents even more deadly force being deployed by any of our officers. So it was just interesting to get his kind of lived experience as an outsider to this conversation and his pro-taser outlook. I think one thing that I think about with this, though, that came up with Chief Sumner is just the sort of perpetual liability that we're signing up for here, the perpetual expense that we're signing up for here. And I'll make a parallel to the roads in the sense that, at this point, like if we were to say, hey, we're gonna add another lane mile of road, that basically means we're signing up for $1 million every 15 years in perpetuity for the city to, pave that. So let's, whatever that breaks it down to, $70,000 a year and, for that road. And I think with this taser, it's initially a 5-year contract at about $45,000 a year, certainly over time, inflation, things like that. And so I guess I just, on one hand, want to say that, I'm supportive of this, but on the other hand, I just sort of want to call out the idea that basically we were signing up in perpetuity through this Axon, a $50,000+ kind of annual line item that we have to be prepared to stand by for a really long time to come. So just want to call that out while also saying that I am supportive of this.
Mrs. Franzen.
Yeah, and I agree. It's good to be mindful of the fact whenever we do something like this, it is going to cost us money. I think that the benefits for me will outweigh the downsides of the money, and I'm sure I know you agree too. It's if it can prevent someone from being seriously hurt or killed that could be otherwise prevented from causing issues with this, I think it's well worth it. I mean, yeah, not kind of preaching to the choir here, but yeah.
Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, so totally support this. My only comment would be that during our committee meeting when Chief Sumners was giving us this presentation, that no one got my joke that I was shockingly surprised that we didn't have tasers, and like that didn't land really good. So anyway, I just want to bring that up. Guys, none of you guys got that, and I just let it go and moved on, so whatever.
Mr. Braden, don't make me call you out of order.
We haven't had tasers for how long? I'm shocked, and nothing. Okay, all right.
Any other discussion? Mrs. Bowling.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through the President, Mr. Powers, can I just ask should something appear in the years through 2030 that means that we no longer have the funding to support this? Are we in any way obligated to continue to pay this? Is this an ongoing, are we essentially locked into a contract with this company? Should something happen that means we no longer have room for this in the budget, would there be repercussions for that?
Mr. Powers.
Without having the contract in front of me to review, I'm not really in a great position to answer that. Typically, though, when you sign in for these multi-year contracts, there is a provision in them that requires appropriations to be made on a year-to-year basis.
Ms. Royce.
I was just wondering, because I do have some qualms about passing this in 3 readings. I know it's budgetary, and that's why. But was there a reason this wasn't on? I wasn't here, but is there a reason it wasn't on last council's agenda?
I don't know
Just
the answer
finally?
to that.
Okay. Thank you. I guess, yeah, I would have liked some more public feedback on this. I understand the perspective that in theory, tasers are not guns. They are not deadly force. I guess, and I trust our law enforcement. I trust our officers to deploy these responsibly. My concern is with the company that produces these, honestly. Axon is the only place that sells tasers to law enforcement. They have not done long studies on it. Tasers are not regulated by any federal agency. We simply don't have the data to know how many people are really injured from tasers. So while they are considered non-lethal, a lot of those stats are not clear. In fact, this Reuters article from 2017, they acquired Axon Enterprises' own advisement to police that some people are at higher risk of death or serious injuries from these weapons. Specifically pregnant women, young children, old people, and frail people. And these tasers will most likely be deployed upon people who may be in mental crisis, who may already be having a medical emergency. And it shocks your heart when I believe this article says that, excuse me, if we are just going with people with heart issues, I believe we're at 1/3 of the population is at high risk if these are deployed upon them. I just wish we would have had more time to talk about this publicly, get feedback. I'm going to have a really hard time. I don't know if I'll vote yes on this, honestly, just because I would have liked to have the discussion. And again, it's not because I don't trust our officers to deploy these as responsibly as they are trained to, but the company that will be training them is Axon, who produces the tasers, who has a financial interest in making sure these are considered safe. And again, we have no government data on them. So it's just something to think about in the future. Maybe when these 5, I don't know who will be here at that point, but when the contract's up, because I have a feeling it's going to pass. But just something to mull over. And I wish we didn't have to make the decision tonight.
Mrs. Bowling.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. I know we talked about this briefly recently, you and I talked about this briefly recently, and that was a thing that I was unaware of. So thank you for bringing that to my attention. My other concern, and again, this is coming from a place of actually, I have a lot of faith in our police in Norwood. I wish that we'd had longer to have this conversation as well, because I'd like to know, when was the last time a gun was discharged by a police officer? Are we solving a problem that we aren't facing right now? It doesn't, to my knowledge, our police are not rapidly using their guns. And so are we giving an additional non-lethal tool where there is not, I would love more information about what we feel the need is here. I think that our police department has done a great job of policing without using lethal force. And so my concern is that there is, again, this company that if they are the only manufacturer of police issued tasers, they have a vested interest in ensuring that they are being used continually, so that we need to replace them and maintain them and, build them into our training program. And I am wary. I appreciate wanting to have a non-lethal option, but I also am concerned that this is filling a need that doesn't exist.
Mrs. Hoover.
I would share that from Chief Sumner's presentation, he feels that it's very much filling a need that we have. I can't remember, my apologies, if you were in the meeting. He did share body cam video, which was a couple different interactions with police and people in the community where a taser would have been a preferred option. And we've never had one. We've never had tasers. So their option was, in one particular situation, there were no other tools that they had on their tool belt that could have helped. There's one situation in an elevator. So it was a very complicated situation. It was a mental health crisis. And they're having a taser might have made a substantive difference in the outcome of that situation. So from the police perspective, they are very much wanting this as a non-lethal option.
Mr. Moore.
Yeah, just as two notes that I took down that might be helpful. So 2013, I believe, is the year that he said the last time that Norwood had tasers was 2013. So just want to clarify that they have had them. They went away for budgetary reasons. And his comment was that at this point, his understanding is that Norwood's the only department in the county that does not have tasers. And then to Ms. Bowling's other point, what Chief Sumner said that night was that it's been 21 years since the last use of deadly force. I don't want to expound or guess anymore, of what that means or if they've fired guns or whatever, but 21 years since last use of deadly force was what he said that day.
Thank you. And I will just note for a procedural standpoint, not necessarily with this piece of legislation, but any of the items that are not passed this evening will have to be resubmitted after the first of the year because it will be a new council. So it will not, by default, if there's a first reading of anything this evening, it doesn't automatically carry over to the first regularly scheduled meeting in January. Will have to be resubmitted in the process beginning again. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. So kind of cut and dry, like I don't know what else to think about, when an assailant is unruly and breaking the law and willing to kill a police officer. We don't want to give them, their decision is either to shoot them or beat them with their fist. And both options sucks. So are we really seriously questioning the fact that tasers can keep people more safe and keep our officers safe? And this is what I mean. I'm really concerned about the future of my community that I have been raised in, and these people want to put a noose on the homeowner and tell you not to pave your backyard. Excuse me for being loud, but then we are having endless discussions about keeping our police officers safe. It just doesn't make sense. I think we're upside down. I mean, I'm sure you guys are gonna come back and tell me how wrong I am in this, but it just makes no sense to me that we're not just, let's keep our officers safe, give them tape, like, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, don't put no concrete in your backyard, man. We really don't want you to do that. Thanks, I appreciate it. There's my comment. You ain't gotta put up with it much longer, guys. No?
Mr. Gurdon.
I understand your reservations, and I think they're valid. I'm talking to Chief Sumner about this when we were talking about the budget. He did express concerns about the way they were being marketed and the safety of them, and that's why he's delayed getting them up until now. I do think it's a matter of police officer safety. As Mr. Braden just said, a police officer doesn't have a lot of other options. Physical violence is one of the steps if there's a resistance. And so I do think a taser gives a police officer a sense of safety, or some options for safety there. I do think the numbers of that Chief Sumner has presented with, and I don't know the exact terminology, but aggressive or complaints of police aggression are very low in Norwood. So as of right now, I don't think we have a problem, and I do trust our police. If he comes back and all of a sudden there's a lot of extra complaints, I think that is something that we should reconsider, and maybe consider breaking the contract. But at least right now, I trust Chief Sumner is making the best decision for our community, and so I'm for this.
Ms. Royce.
I do just want to clarify. I trust Chief Sumner. I care about officer safety. I want to reemphasize, I wish we'd had more time to have public discussion about this. I wish we could have gotten public input. And it's not because I don't care about officer safety. There's also just someone on the other end of the taser, and that could be anyone in this community. So I would have liked to have had that option.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mr. Gurdon, seconded by Mr. Braden, is to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
No.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
With a vote of 6 in favor, 1 against, that motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the financing and purchase of 45 Axon Tasers, 10, including equipment and training, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the financing and purchase of 45 Axon Taser, 10, including equipment and training, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to enter into a contract with Axon Enterprise, Inc. for the financing and purchase of 45 Axon Taser 10, including equipment and training, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mr. Braden to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
No.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
With a vote of 6 in favor, 1 against, that motion carries. The next item is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for reconstruction improvements to South Jefferson Avenue and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mr. Braden.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Braden. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for reconstruction improvements to South Jefferson Avenue and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for reconstruction improvements to South Jefferson Avenue and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder for reconstruction improvements to South Jefferson Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Garten.
Make a motion to pass the ordinance?
Motion by Mr. Garten to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Franzen.
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Franzen. Any discussion? Mr. Moore.
If I may, through the chair to Mr. Powers. Mr. Powers, this is not a blood oath here that you have to sign, but approximately when would you expect, if bids are going to go out in January, approximately when would you expect this project to be completed in 2026?
Mr. Powers.
Well, I would say anytime I got asked a question like that, I would say as late as possible in the year to make sure we hit that goal.
Sure.
But realistically, we would be putting this out to bid in January, hopefully starting sometime in April or May. It really kind of depends about when the plants that manufacture the asphalt start to open back up. And that is weather dependent. So I would expect that it would get going in the summertime and finish probably early in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mr. Garten, seconded by Mrs. Franzen, is to pass the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Garten?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. The next item is an ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for a contract for the installation of an 8-inch water main from Montgomery Road along the area of Crown Avenue Extension and declaring an emergency. Mr. Garten.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and have all three readings?
Motion by Mr. Garten to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Mr. Garten.
Just want to point out that the ordinance says that the project is entirely funded by a CDBG block grant. So this should not come out of city funds.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
If I may, through the chair, ask Mr. Powers to come back up. Got to make sure he gets his steps in today. With regard to this project, my understanding, if I think about like Weir Ave by comparison, I feel like that one has been like on my radar, sort of understand that it relates to the Allison project, so on and so forth. With regard to this, I think this is sort of a newer arrival, wasn't kind of on my radar previously. And I guess I would just be curious if there's any like broader context as to the need or the timing of doing this particular water line.
So this is real. Thank you. This is related to the Montgomery and Maple development, which will extend Crown Avenue from where it currently ends through to Montgomery Road. That extension of the road was required to remove an easement on the property that was held by the owners of the Frisch's parcel. While they were doing that, the city found that this was a good opportunity to extend a water main under there that would increase fire flows, improve water movement throughout that neighborhood. So sort of something similar that we're doing on Weir Avenue, although this does not directly benefit that development. But it is eligible for, as Mr. Gerton pointed out, CDBG funding, so it does not cost the city funds to do this.
Got it. And is it accurate to say then that it is an eastward expansion of something that already exists on Crown, and therefore in theory it wouldn't be directly like during the construction phase it wouldn't be disrupting homes on Crown, or is it?
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Braden.
One more question, please. So this, just to clarify, this is not in direct support of quality in site. Like this ain't something that we're doing because of that site getting developed and they actually need an upgrade for. Is that what?
Yeah. Yes, that's accurate. There's nothing about that development that requires this to be created. Okay. So the water main is purely for the community's benefit.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mr. Girton, seconded by Mrs. Hoover, is to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for a contract for the installation of an 8-inch water main from Montgomery Road along the area of Crown Avenue Extension and declaring an emergency. Ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for a contract for the installation of an 8-inch water main from Montgomery Road along the area of Crown Avenue Extension and declaring an emergency. An ordinance authorizing the Safety Service Director to advertise for bids for a contract for the installation of an 8-inch water main from Montgomery Road along the area of Crown Avenue Extension and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
Make a motion, we pass the ordinance?
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to pass the ordinance. Mr. Moore.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Moore. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Girton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Next item is an ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move we suspend the rules and have all three readings.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mrs. Hoover.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mrs. Hoover. Any discussion? Mr. Girton.
If I may, can I put Treasurer on the spot? I see most of the appropriations from this change go to your department. I know you brought this up in the past, but can you give a brief update?
Mr. Bonzo.
Yeah, thank you so much, Councilmember Girton. Yeah, and we actually do have, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, Tim Wagers, our tax commissioner, here today. So I think I'll defer to him to kind of explain how we kind of came into the situation that we've notified you all of, and the action is needed.
Mr. Wagers.
All right, thank you. So just to kind of give some background, so we're dealing with 2020 tax filings, or 2024 tax filings right now, so it kind of seems like it's a little behind. However, most of these returns were not filed until October 15th. They all had extensions filed properly, so it took until that time. So it's pretty typical for us to be processing these returns right about this time. Some like a kind of a trend that we're seeing within 2024 is that most of our resident corporations have some sort of carryover or refund amount. So it's pretty, consistent across the board. This one, however, has kind of, we have one that's rather large that's inside of that appropriation change. So this one specifically kind of has a multitude of things that's kind of changed. So they had a merger. They were acquired by a different company. They were taken from public to private. At the same time where you probably would have been seeing this refund last year, the specific company was dealing with a cyber attack and dealing with some ransomware that kind of had somewhat taken over their software, prevented them from doing, what the business does. So that all kind of played a pretty large effect into their 2024 taxes. So I think most of this refund actually would have came in 23. We probably would have been asking you guys for it sometime in 24. However, with the kind of the drama and the chaos due to the ransomware attack, it caused kind of a carryover and a delay into the following year. So this is actually a carryover from the previous company. This is not a miscalculation for the acquiring of that business. So they're just clearing out the account from the previous company, and they've started fresh. They do have payments in for 2025, for the 2025 tax year. So they do have a declaration estimated much less than the current refund amount. Yes, ma'am.
So in your, not that you can know for sure, but it seems like this would be a one-off issue with this particular company.
I think
I would hope they would.
They finally caught up and they are correcting themselves,
Okay.
and we're seeing it come out now.
Any other questions or discussion? Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I think maybe this is more of a comment. Just kind of back of the napkin, it looks like, 1.3 million is the sort of increase to the earnings tax department. The decreases to other departments, there's, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30 different line items that are being subbing out. I think one thing that catches my eye in this is, that there's about $225,000 in capital projects that are basically funds are being pulled from in order to get us towards that. There's about $635,000 in personnel services that are being pulled from, and so I guess on one hand, as far as the capital improvements, I'm glad that we're able to make this work, right? Whereas in the past, maybe we would have been in much more of a pinch than we're in right now. But I do think there's a little part of me that is like somewhat disappointed in the fact that there's like more than $200,000 in capital projects that are going to not get done, as a result of this. And then I guess my other I don't even know if it's a question. I guess as far as personnel services, I guess I'm just a little surprised that there's like more than $600,000 worth of, essentially unpaid salaries like that, floating around within city coffers. I guess it's just surprising. I know we've had some different vacancies and whatnot that may have contributed to that for, we're not paying somebody's salary for 3 months of the year or whatever. But just a couple thoughts I had while looking through kind of where this $1.3 million is coming from.
Mr. Bonzo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I think those are all great observations, Councilmember Moore. I guess the one thing the personnel services specifically, so it's not, there's always like various HR situations at the city that we have to budget the money for the full year, whereas we may not have somebody for the full year. So, I think from the Treasury Department's perspective, I think there were some appropriations reduced there. There's, the Safety Service Director had some because of Clint was not, even though he was kind of acting as budget director, he was still being paid as the Superintendent of Public Works because he's still really doing that role. So they had budgeted both roles, but they have not, since the superintendent role has not been backfilled, there was some money there. And that story kind of repeats itself throughout the budget. When we're not in fiscal emergency, kind of how it would work at a city is that you all would know this and identify this earlier and make determinations about whether you would want to use that money for other reasons. The financial supervisors, though, have kind of prohibited that and saying, like, look, the money is where it is, and unless it's kind of an emergency reason, which is what I would consider this, or there's other keys that are like the fire department key that needed $150,000 or $200,000 more. Unless it's like an emergency, we're not going to consider it. So I think there's going to be more flexibility for you in the future. As far as the capital projects, I think that is, we're kind of we'll talk about I think the auditor's going to talk about this later. I'll talk about it in my report. But the cycle that we've kind of been on is that even though we have a 5-year financial recovery plan, the financial supervisors only allow us to, and you'll see it in the 2026 appropriations, we're only able to appropriate, they're only going to let us appropriate the first 3 months of that plan starting out next year. So the administration can't necessarily take action immediately on projects that they want to do because they don't have the appropriations to do that yet. So they're going to have to wait until we pass the new financial, unless something changes. We're not going to have the full year appropriations for the city, the project manager and other people doing projects until we pass a new financial recovery plan. And hopefully this year we can pass it sooner, but I can just tell you in 9 years, and the financial recovery plan is actually a great document. It's a great practice that we're doing, but we always think about, hey, can we do it sooner? Can we do it sooner? Things always come up. There's always things that get in the way. There's, delays at the state reviewing it. There's delays at the Financial Supervision Commission with scheduling. There's just always delays. So anyways, I would just say that as far as the projects, yes, it's sad. These projects, the money that is being reduced though are projects these are 25 appropriations. They're projects that are not going to be able to be completed by the end of 25 anyway. So no projects that are in the works or were going to be done were stopped because of this. It was just unused appropriations. It wasn't, they didn't reduce it from anything that was currently active. But I agree, your point's still valid.
Mrs. Franzen.
I just wanted to say thank you to Mr. Miracle and Mr. Waiters and Mr. Bonzel. I know this is a really frustrating event, and I wish that you hadn't had to figure it out, but I'm glad you did, and in such a way that the things that would need to happen are not going to be prevented from happening. Like the stuff we've already got budgeted for capital stuff will not be affected. So I'm glad there was money left to do this. It's frustrating. I feel for you.
Other discussion? Mr. Gurdon.
This is a side note, aside from the tax department or earnings tax budget. But I had, as chair of the finance committee, I had a conversation with Mr. Miracle just before the meeting. There's a $5,000 personnel reappropriation, another $211,000 reappropriation for a department. That same department had another $200,000 appropriated last meeting we were at. So what I'm trying to say is the finance committee, I think, needs to come up with a policy or some kind of verbiage to make sure that we're not stuck at the last meeting of the year, or last 2 meetings of the year, appropriating $500,000 for personnel. I understand that these contracts allow for that. I'm not questioning these people's benefits, and their pay is legitimate. But I think we as a city need to not be surprised at the end of the year with $500,000 of paying people out. So whatever it is, maybe I'll work with our HR department to see if there's a policy we can get into place that tries to prepare for these appropriations happening rather than being surprised at the end of the year for them.
Any further discussion? Motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mrs. Hoover, is to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Miss Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency. Ordinance to change appropriations for the year 2025 and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mrs. Hoover.
Make a motion, we pass the ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Hoover to pass the ordinance. Mrs. Franzen.
I second.
Seconded by Mrs. Franzen. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Miss Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Last item is an ordinance making temporary appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31, 2026, and declaring an emergency. Mrs. Franzen.
I move we suspend the rules and have all three readings of this ordinance.
Motion by Mrs. Franzen to suspend the rules and have all three readings of the ordinance. Mr. Gurdon.
Second the motion?
Seconded by Mr. Gurdon. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Miss Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurton?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am.
All members present voting yes, the motion carries. Please have all three readings of the ordinance.
Ordinance making temporary appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance making temporary appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance making temporary appropriations for the expenditures of the City of Norwood, Ohio for the calendar year ending December 31st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Gurdon.
Just a quick point of order. I didn't get to bring this up a second ago. Under the attest section, does that need to be amended to have the correct name?
Yes. Ms. Moore, with that, would we need a motion to amend that, or can we just make that edit? The ordinance, it still has the Natalie's name under the attest.
It's not this one.
Okay,
Perfect. That's what I did.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I guess I would just be curious. This is maybe a Mr. Miracle question or maybe Mr. Bonsall. How should I think about the numbers that made their way into this document? Is it as simple as taking the expected full year and quartering that number to get down here, or is there any seasonal component of things that might cost more in the first quarter or less in the second quarter, that kind of thing?
Mr. Miracle?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, your first assumption is correct, Mr. Moore. There are a couple exceptions to that. I think there are, we want to pay the Bureau of Workers' Comp. We want to pay that, I think it's prior to January 22nd. If we do so, we get a 2% discount. We pay the entire year. That's about $6,000, which we want to realize that savings. We're also going to be paying out the retirees that we pay out at the beginning of January. So there are a couple of things like that, but your assumption is correct.
Okay, thank you.
And just to clarify, this has been reviewed by the Auditor of State, and they have approved these numbers as well. Any further discussion? All right, motion on the, oh, no. We actually need a motion to pass. Mrs. Franzen?
Yes, sorry, a motion to pass the ordinance.
Mr. Gurdon?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Gurdon. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen?
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover?
Yes.
Ms. Royce?
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Gurdon?
Yes.
Mr. Braden?
Yes, ma'am. All members present voting yes, the motion carries. And we move on to administration reports. Mr. Bonzal.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all passing the appropriations. It just needed to be done. Tim and I both were quite disappointed at having to even ask for them, but it's $800,000 expense from just one company is. I mean, it's not something we're able to really budget for every year. It's not realistic because it's something that's just so out of the ordinary. So, but yeah, appreciate it very much. So that does bring up, though, the estimates that we provided about a month ago or a month and a half ago to the Finance Committee and to the Committee of the Whole for y'all's budget hearing. Kind of with some of this new information, we're definitely gonna have to edit those for next year. So as soon as we get kind of the year closed out, Tim and I are gonna look at each company where we get the net profit tax from to try to figure out kind of what that might look like. We had quite a few people that are companies that had paid early, but they decided instead of asking for a refund, they decided to push basically their payment to the 2025 debt profit filings, which are going to happen next year, which means potentially we're going to have less dollars coming in next year, coupled with the fact that companies in general aren't earning as much as they were previously. So, I mean, we've always talked about net profit being a very volatile thing. I mean, just looking at the numbers that are likely very close to final, I mean, we were very close to matching last year's numbers when it comes to the amount of dollars that we brought in, but it's likely that's not going to hold up for a future year. So we'll keep you updated there. Just so far, we still have a couple $100,000 more to enter, but just so far right now, we're up $428,000 for the year total, and that's about 2% over last year. The estimate, though, was that we'd higher than that. December right now, we're down 33%, but that's going to change a little bit because we've got a couple $100,000 worth of lockbox payments for withholding that we have to process, but that'll get processed on either Friday or Monday. Long story short, it doesn't look quite as rosy as it did before. Comparing it, though, to where we were 10 years ago or 5 years ago, we're in an amazing place. But it also just shows you why we've got to work to protect, every revenue stream that we can. Whenever we can. And of course, you hear me speak about that. So when those kind of situations come up, and I'll keep doing that. But in general, though, again, we're all still looking positive. It just may not be as positive as it was. There might be some decisions that need to be made. Of course, as council, that's kind of your all statutory responsibility is to help make some of those decisions and move forward. going back to the 26 appropriations, I'm hoping that this will be the last year that we're in fiscal emergency, but I've said that I think for the last 2 or 3 years before. There's always these random things that come up. It's quite interesting, to come out. Everybody has to be acting on full, just complete synchrony for a period of time, and then maybe they'll consider that things happen. But there's always HR things that happen. There's like the auditors had transition, the treasurers had transition. It's hard to always meet every single deadline every single time, and there's not a lot of cities that are doing that. I mean, there are always things that come up. So it just feels like the standards are really high, and they should be. But it just feels like they are, for a city that is doing as well financially as we are, that has the carryover balance that we do. It's just kind of frustrating because, there's not a city in that probably has ever had in fiscal emergency that is putting the numbers out that we're putting when it comes to carryover balance as a percentage of your general fund budget, that we're still in fiscal emergency. And I just don't know if it's the specific person that's evaluating us or if this is just normal, but I've not experienced this before, but it is frustrating on my side. I did just want to acknowledge Councilmember Braden and Councilmember Royce, just throughout last meetings. Yeah, Mr. Braden, I think it's 10 years now in council for you. And I know this has meant a lot to you. And, I've appreciated having your voice on council most days. And just kidding. Yeah, but you bring a great.
With that.
Yeah. So, I just want to wish you the best of luck on what comes next and where you go next. I know it's very, very likely to involve Norwood. So you born here, raised here, you've been here your whole life. And except I think for going to Cooper's Hawk about once a week, I don't think you leave too often. So, but yeah, just best of luck to you. And then Councilmember Royce, I remember asking you to run for office, and you were, I think, at a Reds baseball game with friends.
It was.
And which I think played to my advantage because they heard kind of what was happening, and I don't think I've ever told this story publicly. I don't know if you have, but I think they heard what was happening and was encouraging you, and potentially there could be something you were drinking that could have also made you feel bolder. But I think you had less time than Kamala did, I think, because we were asked, and so you ran a heck of a campaign in that amount of time, and so. I just want to say thank you for your service to council, and I am going to deeply miss you. I will just say, and I think you know that. And I wish you the best of luck to what comes next and where you go from here. But with that, thanks for letting me take up a little time. Merry Christmas.
Any questions for Mr. Bonzo? Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Bonzo, for that report. I'm thinking a little bit out loud here, but just to try to boil down kind of the crux of the situation we find ourselves in. On one hand, it would be great to have more of a buffer in the budget for situations like this, in terms of the refund and whatnot. On the other hand, the predicament with that is that if you don't need it, then it becomes incredibly hard to spend at that point of the year, and then the third factor is the fiscal emergency sort of further limits our adaptability with regard to some of these things and timing and carry forward. Like, is that a fair kind of summary of the forces at play here as it pertains to protecting a buffer, but also not being stuck with not putting dollars to work?
Mr. Bonzo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I think that's a great way to kind of look at it, just the competing forces. Again, if we were not in fiscal emergency, I think the big thing that we would want is that buffer in the bottom line in our carryover balance. And if we have the buffer in the carryover balance, we could have, even if we didn't have all of these appropriations and these keys that were underutilized, right? We could have, you all could have just passed an ordinance to appropriate the money. I mean, you'd have to work with the auditor to make sure that the certificate of estimated resources was in line with the amount, the carryover balance that we had. But long story short is that you all would be able to just have made that decision and not necessarily taking from anything, but just that our bottom line had the buffer, and that's where it would have come from. It's just that we have so many restrictions on moving money with the fiscal emergency that is really where the major constraint comes.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore.
And then if I may ask another question, Mr. Bonsall, and maybe this is a Mr. Miracle question. Have you heard anything further with regard to the two matters we put forth to the county as far as estimates of millage pertaining to potential streets or operating levies in 2026. I'm just asking for a status update on those items, if you've heard anything.
Mr. Bonzo.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. It's a valid question. It likely wouldn't have come directly to my office, though, so either the city auditor or even the safety service director. Mr. President, maybe Mr. Moore or the auditor might know.
Mr. Moore? Mr. Miracle?
Thank you, Mr. President. I haven't received anything yet, Mr. Moore, but
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Bonzo? All right, Mr. Miracle.
thank you, Mr. President. First, I'd like to say thank you to council. There was a tremendous amount of effort for the two ordinances that you voted on and approved earlier this evening. I know Mr. Bonsall and Mr. Wagers and Dr. Cambisi. I think she was pretty much on the phone with Anna Mary Thomas, our Auditor of State, most of the day. As you had spoken about earlier, Mr. Moore, that's a considerable amount of items that we were able to pull from. So we were grateful that we were able to do that. And what I wanted to talk about briefly is the being in financial recovery. There are three very important things that we are working on right now and have to be implemented here in a very short period of time. One of those is the workflow. Now, and the reason I bring that up, number one, it's wonderful that there's less paper and that's paperless. I think we all certainly want that. But what is going to happen with this workflow, which we just recently had a 2-hour meeting with SSI about this, is that once we have this established, which we pretty much have a big chunk of it already done, we are going to be able to take this and to literally use this to provide our purchasing policies and procedures, which is a big hurdle that we need to jump over for the Auditor of State. I think it was difficult to establish a purchasing policy and procedure without the direction that we have here with the workflow, which all of you will certainly have access to see how this works. So, essentially, just one of the highlights of it I want to share with everyone is the budget is going to be there for everyone. They're going to be looking at their funds. And once they enter in a requisition, there is a level that it goes to the next person. Then they will sign off on this. And then I think most of the things will go to Noah for the Safety Service Director. But and there are emails involved in this. So everything is going to be digital. It'll be easy to trace. And I think I've already discussed this with Anna Mary, the Auditor of State. She's very excited that we are actually going to be utilizing the workflow. We've also been talking to Sabrina Smith, who is the auditor for the city of Reading. Matter of fact, Dr. Cambisi went to visit her, had a 3-hour meeting with her. She's been a great resource for us, and she's helped us with many questions that we had about workflow. So that is going to be happening in January. The other thing, also very important, equally important, is the VIP analytics. So I think I sent an email today, forgive me, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but what we are requesting is that you take your laptop to TA Brown or to Jerry Smith. We need the VIP analytics downloaded onto that laptop. And then we started today, Ariana Standifer, our accounting specialist, she speaks this VIP analytics, so thank God she does. We're taking the FRP and we're downloading it in to the VIP analytics. So moving forward this year, as a council, as the administrators of the city, you will have access to view that budget anytime you want. 24/7, 365. We're going to have 2023 in there, 2024, 2025, and then we will have 5 years out from there. So that will be all at your fingertips. I think this is another reason that this will help propel us out of this fiscal emergency that we're in right now. And again, I spoke to Annie and Mary about that actually today. So that was very encouraging. I related to her that 2026 is the year, and she had said to me that doesn't see why we can't do it this year. I know that for many that have been around for a while, I know that we've said that next year, but I think 2026, with the things that we are working on here, I think could help us with that. And additionally, the last one, we have one more meeting with Monday.com. That's our project management tool that we're going to be utilizing. So these three things here, all working in concert, I think will help us with the auditor of state, and that we can get out of fiscal emergency in 2026. So that's it's very exciting. And then also, as you know, love to talk about paper, but we are up to for our retention schedule, which is required by the Ohio Revised Code. I think Joanne told me late last week that we have 309 boxes that are ready to go. So if you're ever so inclined, I can show you a very clean room upstairs. I should have taken a before picture, and I told her that, but we've got a great after picture. So that's also something that we're working on. And then Dr. Cambisi will be working on the Certificate of Estimated Resources. In December, the Hamilton County Auditor has two meetings, one on the 16th, one on the 30th, and then they will approve our Certificate of Estimated Resources on next Tuesday, is the 30th. So that's, yes. So that's my report, Mr. President.
All right. Thank you. I do have one question for
Yes, sir.
clarification, though. And not only this council, but I know previous councils have expressed frustration about receiving the FRP last minute with VIP. What you're saying is future renditions they'll have that 24/7 access?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes. And just so we're clear, just for everyone watching, we were able to have the first iteration of the budget in late October. So our goal in the auditor's office is to move all these dates up. In another discussion with Anna Mary, which talked to her quite a bit today, the permanent appropriations are due prior to April the 1st. There's no reason why we can't get that moved up. And I ask for her help. And as Mr. Bonsall has said, sometimes you give them that, it takes a little while to get them back. But we're going to be actively pushing that to see if we can't get that done by the end of January. That's our goal.
All right. Any questions for Mr. Miracle? Mr. Moore?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do want to give you my best wishes on the paperless requisition purchase order process, because I remember when Janet Kennedy was saying that's what we were going to go to in, I think, 2003. And so I'm hopeful this time it'll actually happen. I don't really have anything from the law department. I do want to thank Ms. Royce and John. I really want to thank you for your service. I know being on council is a giant pain. It takes a lot of time. It's a lot of effort. There's a lot of grief that goes with it. You don't get a lot of people saying thank you for the stuff you do. So I just want to say thank you, because I do appreciate you coming here and you spending the time and bringing your perspectives and speaking your minds. It really is. I appreciate it. No matter who's willing to step up and serve, more power to you. And I you know, it's going to be a different council, but it's everybody in City Hall is so different from when I started that I think, you know, it's an odd thing. So, but it's going to be sad to see you go, and we'll have to deal with some new people. But I want to thank you for your service. And of course, if anybody's got questions, let me know.
Any questions for Mr. Moore? All right, then we will move on to unfinished business. Any unfinished business? Mr. Moore.
Yeah, I'd just like to provide a brief update regarding the 2x2 committee meeting with the school board. We had our first touch point about a week ago. I'll call it like meeting zero, in the sense that it was basically just establishing some basic ground rules, standing agenda items, things of that nature. I wouldn't say there was any, I would say it was more building the boat, but not actually rowing the boat. But I think an overall positive first touch point, and then the hope is, or the plan is moving forward to have those in the odd numbered months into 2026. We'll touch base 6 times in the coming year. So overall, I'm hopeful, optimistic about kind of the spirit that everyone came to that meeting with, and the desire to see a more collaborative relationship between the two bodies. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other unfinished business? Mrs. Hoover.
I just want to acknowledge that we had state rep listening session last December the 17th. Councilmember Emily Franson was also there. We had some residents come. It's really lovely when we have state folks who are coming to Norwood to actually engage and listen to our residents. That's really important. I'm really glad that we're having that. There's a comment made earlier about connecting with council members, and just maybe a piece of a suggestion or advice. These are our business meetings, and while I often come early, it's not the best time for me to connect with residents, because I'm connecting with the auditor, I'm connecting with the law director. I love meeting with residents. I would say that council is not often the best time for me. So if you would like to meet, you have my email is online, shoover@norwoodohio.gov. And I would encourage residents to reach out to any council member. I think everyone is open to connecting with folks. Also just had a question if we needed to have a further discussion regarding the school board decision.
Mr. Moore.
I sent out the latest comments on a potential settlement and their markups of the language that we're working on. If council wants to go into executive session to discuss that, I'm prepared to do that. If not, it's entirely up to you. And hopefully soon we'll have a final product to actually vote on. But we're working on some of the. It's a lot of pages. So. If council wants to go into executive session, then maybe wait till after the correspondence, communication, that's the word, and vote to do that if you wanted to do it.
Mrs. Hoover.
I'm curious if we should do that tonight, or if we want to wait until we have the new council in January. Just throwing that out there.
Mrs. Franson.
I think, although I'm eager to talk about it, it might be more productive to wait until we have people who are actually going to have to vote on it, so we'll have to rehash it for the two new people. If there's not a final version right now. So, not that I don't want to hear from Mr. Moore.
And I think what we have is essentially captured pretty much what has been discussed here. Of course, if anybody thinks that I'm way off base, let me know.
Mrs. Hoover.
So if we were to have feedback, just go ahead and shoot you an email. Is that appropriate?
Correct, without copying any other council members. Yes, exactly.
Correct. Thank you.
Anything else under unfinished business? All right, moving on to new business. Mrs. Bowling.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have seen a lot of discussion online about Rumpke and trash services. So just as a reminder to everybody at home, I know that we are all very spoiled by Rumpke not normally being interrupted by holidays. This week and next week are the 2 times a year that happens back to back. And so your trash day will be delayed by a day if you are Thursday or later. So if you live on my street and your service is on Thursday, it will happen on Friday, this week and next week, as this Thursday and next Thursday are a holiday. And then we're through and we don't have to think about it again for another year.
Mrs. Hoover.
Another piece of feedback, it's possible that sometimes they do come and pick it up on the day they're supposed to. If there's sometimes they will have extra shifts to try to catch up. So I tend to go ahead and leave it out. And I'm hoping that the Board of Health would not cite people if they're doing that. Because I know sometimes people don't put it out and then they try to sweep by to get an early stop and then we miss your garbage. Just make it more complicated.
Any other new business? Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I did just want to follow in Mr. Bonsall and Mr. Moore's footsteps in the sense of acknowledging the, kind of the conclusion of service, at least for now, with Ms. Royce and Mr. Braden. I think, just hats off to both of you. I think, Ms. Royce, I'll say, I'm very sad that we are losing our lone lawyer from council. And I make a little bit of a joke about that, but I think there's a lot of nuance that you bring, that you pick up on sitting right across from you. Sometimes your face communicates some things in just sort of your subtle reactions, and I think, well, I wonder what I'm missing here, and that makes me think a little more deeply. But just thank you for the selflessness and the, I believe, 4 years of service, and happy for you to venture on and do great things outside of this. But thank you. And then as far as Mr. Braden goes, I watched a lot of council meetings over the years back when I was doing the Norwood and 9 thing, and I always kind of thought he brings a little different perspective to things, Mr. Braden does. And, I think, when I think about, running for council 6 times and running for higher office, hoping to, serve Norwood's interests in a greater way at a higher level within government. I think quite frankly, at the age that I'm at, when I was a kid, I used to have, like movie stars, famous athletes, those are the kind of people that I looked up to. And I think as I've gotten older, the people that I really admire the most and respect the most are people who have just picked a pocket of the world and really like devoted themselves to it in a very selfless way. Whether that's in a civic organization, a fraternity, sorority, a coaching, whatever it might be. I think to just pick a little small corner of the universe and do the best you can for it is about the most honorable and worthwhile pursuit that I think a person can have. And Mr. Braden, I think that you're the embodiment of that in a lot of ways. And I'm getting a little emotional, talking about it, but I really do think that, seeing you out there, you're in here as a council member, but then you're out on the 4th of July, with a basketball hoop on your head, running around, sweating through your shirt, giving your all for this community, both in the chambers and outside. And, we don't always agree on everything, but I certainly think that you show up with your own worldview, a strong worldview, your own opinions, and, you're, through and through really trying to do your best for the community for a long time. And I think that's a really admirable thing, and I just thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Any other new business? Ms. Royce.
I feel very loved tonight. I did want to thank Mr. Braden for his service. And we do have very different philosophies on politics and life, but it's been great serving with you. No, I'm good. Sorry, I kept it together all evening. I missed my last couple meetings because my dad is in the hospital. Reminder to salt and shovel your sidewalks. He fell on ice and now has a traumatic brain injury. So that's why I missed. Serving here has been great. I had every intention of finishing out my last month strong. And part of the reason I decided to take a step back was because I had a similar thing happen the last election cycle. I was like, I don't know if I can handle that again. Now I might have created a problem. But anyway, it's been great. Serving has been a great honor. Sorry, I'm going to collect myself. Thank you for passing my cryptocurrency ordinance. Hopefully that'll be a great legacy I have. I'm very passionate about it. And campaigning with all of you has been amazing when I did it. Hopefully this won't be the last you see of me, but I'm glad to have the break. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Braden.
Thank you, Mr. President. I appreciate that. I appreciate you as well. It's been really a pleasure serving with you, sir, and I wish you nothing but the best. Ms. Royce, you as well. I wish you nothing but the best in your endeavors to come, and I will be praying for your father.
Thank you.
Councilman Moore, thank you very much for the kind words, and very unexpected, and I really appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, Mr. Bonzel, it has been really fun serving with you, and I've learned a whole lot from you, and I appreciate every bit of it. So it was really interesting. The first couple of years when you came aboard, taught me a whole lot about, I don't know, just about a lot of things, and I appreciate that. And the kind words that you said, I appreciate that as well. And, Mr. Law Director Moore, I appreciate the kind words from you. You are certainly one of the people that influenced myself to throw my hat in the ring and to serve my community as I watched you prior to me, and it was a definite influence and the big reason why I'm here today, and I appreciate you too. Thank you. Mr. Miracle, I don't have to say nothing about you, man. You're my boy, right? We're good, man. I appreciate you, and I'm going to miss you, but I'll see you. I'm sure. Everybody else, I just I wish nothing but love and respect and happiness in your lives. I do have a few words here, if it's okay for me to. So I want to thank my family. I want to thank my friends and all who supported me over the years. Has not gone unnoticed. I personally think that I have led with strength and integrity and family values. Those are the things that I focused on, and I hope I did that. The people that my family and friends, I know that they're proud of me because they've told me. They're proud, and I appreciate them, and I love them for that. I've stood alone in the face of adversity when I've had to. I've never wavered in my love for Norwood and the things that I've believed in that were right. I just want to leave everybody with the message of, again, I'll repeat myself, of love, peace on earth, and faith in God, and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Thank you all.
Thank you. Any other new business? All right, Mr. Braden, I will thank you for your service as well. I think I was clerk early on in your tenure here, and there was one thing that I learned early on sitting at this seat was not to look up, because there were certain moments where you had this grin or you winked because I either read something wrong or there was something else going on, and there weren't many moments where I cracked as clerk, but the few times that I can count, you were responsible for that. So
I'm good with that.
And I will say from the campaign side, I have enjoyed the past 2 election cycles, spending anywhere from 4 to 10 hours, I think, standing up at Holy Trinity and having some discussion and meeting your family and watching you chase the ball that your grandson was throwing down Drex. So I did appreciate that, and did also want to thank you for your service to the community.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ms. Royce, I know you are quick to point out that I missed like my first meeting as clerk the one time that I missed it.
It was so out of character. I had to.
But as from the role of clerk of council, I do want to thank you for being there to fill in as pro tem.
Thank you.
And then additionally, your desire to not repeat what everyone else has stated. So when working on minutes and rewatching the meetings, you know, it was refreshing. You know, you were kind of to the point, and you waited, and you can probably attest to this as well. When the point needed to be made, you made it, and it was a one and done.
Thank you.
So I do appreciate that. Yeah, I do thank you for your service. As the outgoing chair of a political party, I will thank you for your attendance at campaign meetings and your willingness to step up with short notice to run a campaign and to go from I'll say an unsuccessful ward campaign to then getting appointed citywide and running a successful reelection campaign and as a citywide candidate. You were always there to help distribute literature, whether it was for yourself or for the collective party. And I do want to thank you for that and acknowledge that as well.
Thank
you. Any other new business? All right. Then we move on to communications, and we do have just one. Mrs. Franzen.
I move that we receive and file the communication as if read.
All right, motion to receive and file the communication as if read. And just to clarify, that communication is from Mayor Victor Schneider regarding the November Mayor's Court fines. Mrs. Bowling.
I would like to second that motion.
Seconded by Mrs. Bowling. Any discussion? Mr. Moore.
I would just like to call out the number of traffic tickets after the abrupt spike in November was down to a several-month low here in November.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All right, motion on the floor by Mrs. Franzen, seconded by Mrs. Bowling, is to receive and file the communication as if read. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen.
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover.
Yes.
Ms. Royce.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Girton.
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Yes, ma'am. All members present voting yes, the motion carries. We have no absent members this evening. Mr. Braden.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Ms. Royce.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Royce. Call the roll, please.
Mrs. Franzen.
Yes.
Mrs. Hoover.
Yes.
Miss Royce.
Yes.
Mrs. Bowling.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Girton.
Yes.
Mr. Braden.
Absolutely.
All members voting yes, the motion carries. This meeting is hereby adjourned. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Yes.